How's it going, everybody? And welcome to this session doing tactics after the tactics in the Sicilian defense for black. Here, for example, what is tactic after the tactic? Tactic after the tactic is how do you win after you have won the game? So, for example, in this case, I believe the winning combination is knight g5, trapping the queen. Bishop takes d6, attempting to distract the king from the defense of f6. So this way, king takes can be met by queen takes f6. Not taking, but instead playing king f7. Then I was calculating, okay, can he keep on trying to deviate? But I realized that after bishop takes, king takes, rook check, the king goes back to f7 and the queen is still trapped. So the line goes knight g5, bishop takes, king steps aside, and there probably the best way to win the most material. Well, it's no longer possible. I was thinking queen takes, king takes, and then bishop check here to win, I suppose, the exchange for the queen, but that's not enough. So I think the most material you can get for this queen is simply queen takes h8. Sad. Okay, what's the compensation for white in that position? Knight, queen, queen takes. White has a fairly secure king and nice bishops. The immediate concern, though, is that they need to take care of this rook on h1, which actually isn't possible. The rook's still trapped. I feel so sad, so sorry for them. So yeah, this isn't actually even winning material. So actually, the best move really is queen takes here, and you just get a piece for the king, for the queen. Bishop check doesn't quite work, but maybe it is better to put your bishop on the long diagonal. And there are some thoughts there of something like rook here, white will bring their knights into the game. In the meantime, I think that with the black pieces, I'm going to put a knight here. I'm going to put my bishop on the long diagonal. And I'm going to use my pieces to defend my pawns and use my queen to attack the king. Oh. That's a much better defense than anything that I had planned. So that's only a piece. That's only a piece up. Much better than anything that I had planned. That's a little embarrassing. Oops. So I miscalculated. But again, that explains the reason why I need this so much. This structure has a name. I don't remember what it's called. B4. Checks, menaces, and threats. Here, here, and here. These are my immediate candidate moves. This could also be considered. The knight's trapped. Yeah, the reason why king b1 is the losing move is because the knight was supposed to have the b1 square. But now after b4, you have to play, so you played b4, knight here, knight takes, queen takes, and bishop takes a4. What's the move for white in that position? Maybe bishop d3, maybe bishop f3. I gotta admit, I'm not super familiar with these positions. I don't play them a lot as black. But I think in general, my plan as black doesn't really change that much. I'm probably going to play rook g8 to shore up the king side a little bit. And a5, a4. And I'm going to soften up the king. Basically, I'm just going to continue what I would have been doing otherwise, but I'm going to do it a piece up. Yes, I saw this line, but this is just the same thing. But I suppose, yeah, I think it warranted bishop b7, best move, or bishop d7? Bishop d7. Yeah, this certainly warranted examination because I see the compensation for black here. Interesting. I like takes. I do. I like takes. And then I like... and the idea was, the reason why queen goes to h6 is because the idea was simply castles and put the bishop on g6. That's a very attractive idea. I don't necessarily regret not to have seen that way of consolidating. However, you know, I still worked my chess vision. But it would have been nice. It would have been nice to be able to have seen that. So what you just saw there, I was doing this, right? But then I was like, but that's only a pawn. I want more than a pawn. And so I was re-examining my possibilities, and I noticed this knight doesn't actually have any squares. Right? All of its squares are protected by my pawns and my pieces. So I realized I could probably play rook takes f3, rook takes f3. And I noticed immediately that that's getting back the exchange at minimum. And then I realized the knight's actually trapped, so it's actually winning the piece as well. So how does... I'd play that. What's the most productive way to do this? I don't see a lot of good moves for white there, so I'm just going to consider, where do I want my pieces? this bishop wants to be more open, and so does this bishop. So either it's b4, b5, b4, with the idea of softening up the b2 square, the long diagonal, or, and I think this is more reasonable, I play with the d pawn and I actually reroute this bishop here, and this way both bishops are looking at the long at these diagonals. I think that's a better plan. So that's what I would execute in a game. Okay, so first of all, let's go for the tactic. I saw g takes f3, but isn't he still... Oh, there's a counterattack against... Does that really free up any squares, though? I guess it frees up squares after a fashion. Oh, man. Because the knight can't really go anywhere, right? This would cut off my queen's attack on the... This would allow it to trade off, and this would allow tempo. Yeah, this is actually worse. Let's imagine takes. Queen takes. Oof, baby. Why is it that I always seem to get the last problem wrong? What is that shit? And nevertheless, these moments are extremely instructive, and I underanalyzed, perhaps barely analyzed. I saw that it was a move, but I didn't even calculate it. G takes F. I think I'm buying into my own tactics, which is a common error that you see amongst beginner players, where someone plays something that looks like a tactic, but there's a very clear refutation. But the beginner is like, oh no, smothered mate, there's nothing I can do. And so they play into the smothered mate, or they play into the skewer, right? They sort of, it's like when you're looking at an accident and then you sort of drift into the accident. You know, you follow the line that the opponent calculated, because it's the line that speaks in the position. That sounds way better in French. And I think that's what I was doing. I just didn't calculate G takes. But, you know, I sort of thought, I do think that, you know, this has got to be good, right? It's certainly more playable for black. And by God, I like my plan of putting the bishops on these diagonals. Whatever his name is who wrote Mastering Chess Strategy would be exceptionally proud of me for choosing diagonals for my bishops. Let's pause the session there. Thank you for joining me today on this little Sicilian adventure. And until the next time, good luck with your own chess journey. Bye for now.